Matt Gaetz, all right, the guy who's being investigated for trafficking children, the guy who still has significant power in the Republican Party, that Matt Gaetz. Well, his ex-girlfriend testified. Matt Gaetz has an ex-girlfriend. She testified in the federal trial against him. It's the grand jury part of the investigation. This happened on Wednesday. This is about his possible sex trafficking crimes. The ex-girlfriend, whose name is being withheld by NBC News to respect her privacy, has been in talks for months with prosecutors about an immunity deal. Well, damn, if you need an immunity deal, that means you've committed a crime. That's what that means. So it looks like her boyfriend, Matt Gaetz, at the time, talked her into a criminal situation, and she needs immunity now. Under a possible deal, she would avoid prosecution for obstruction of justice in return for testifying in the investigation into whether Gaetz in 2017 had sex with a 17-year-old female for money, and whether months later he and others violated a federal law prohibiting people from transporting others across state lines to engage in prostitution. To recap, Gaetz is being investigated for 3 crimes. I want to remind you of those 3 crimes. Sex trafficking of at least one 17-year-old, violating the Mann Act, that's the MANN Act, which prohibits taking women across state lines for prostitution, and obstructing justice as well. Those are your 3. More may be added. Gaetz says this is a witch hunt, okay? Here's the background on his relationship with his ex. The ex-girlfriend was in an open relationship with Gaetz in 2017 and 2018. And remember, Gaetz is the one who speaks against open relationships. That's a side note. He was in an open relationship in 2017 and 2018 and allegedly discussed other women he was involved with. Once again, we have these reports from members of Congress who said he routinely would show pictures of women he was involved with to them, okay? According to 3 friends of the former couple, she allegedly went with Gaetz and a number of other young women and friends of the congressman in 2018 on a trip to the Bahamas. A trip that is also under scrutiny, CBS News and Politico previously reported. There may be a pay-to-play scheme involved. After the investigation began, Gaetz spoke with his ex-girlfriend in a 3-way call with yet another woman who was cooperating with federal investigators at that point and was secretly recording the call, according to 2 sources familiar with the case. It's on that call that Gaetz is suspected of obstructing justice, which federal prosecutors are investigating according to law enforcement sources. Gaetz met his former girlfriend through former associate Joel Greenberg. Remember that guy? He was the tax guy in Florida. Greenberg faces a series of charges, including sex trafficking of a minor. All right, investigators have requested Mr. Gaetz' former girlfriend have asked her about any sexual relationship that the minor may have had with Mr. Greenberg and Mr. Gaetz, and whether the girl received money or material goods like meals, drugs, and hotel rooms in exchange. Multiple people have told investigators that Mr. Gaetz' former girlfriend is one of several women who met Mr. Greenberg through the website Seeking Arrangement, which describes itself as a place where wealthy people find attractive companions and treat them to gifts and cash. Mr. Greenberg then introduced these women to Mr. Gaetz, who often has sexual relationships with them, the witnesses have said. Legal experts say the ex-girlfriend's testimony is an essential step prosecutors would take before charging Gaetz, and that it signals federal prosecutors may be close to indicting the congressman. Any criminal charges against a sitting member of Congress would have to be approved at the highest level of the Justice Department. Matt Gaetz is going to the pokey, okay? It's going to the pokey. It's a matter of time, all right? Senator Turner I mean, this is all dirty stuff here, whole lot of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you summed it up. These charges are, if the investigation substantiates all of these allegations against this man, the book should be thrown at him. And he's not ashamed because he's still out there spouting out, thinking that he's above the law and that he hasn't done anything wrong. Yeah. So I hope they get him and throw like 5-6 books at this fool. Really.
Yeah. And you got to look at the state of the Republican Party. Matt Gaetz, who has been accused of trafficking at least one child, is under federal investigation. There's a credible report of him being an avid cocaine snorter, and all kind of other stuff, right? And then that's just the criminal element. And then there's the reputation element of things that he has done and said that are antithetical to the progress of black folk, historically marginalized groups, etc. This guy still has significant power. He's one of the top 5 fundraisers in the Republican Party, still to this day. And it gives you an idea of what Republicans are in this moment in time, all right? They are a reflection of him.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of rot and decay in today's Republican Party for sure.
Yeah.